All right, today we are jumping headfirst into one of the biggest projects in all of Western philosophy. We're talking about René Descartes and his absolutely radical quest to find something, anything really, that he could know with 100% certainty. So let me start by asking you a kind of uncomfortable question. What if everything you think you know is just plain wrong? What if your senses are lying to you and your most basic beliefs are a total sham? This isn't just some late-night philosophical question. This is the very thing that kicked off a revolution in how we think. To get a handle on this revolution, you've got to meet the man behind it. See, he lived in a time when the whole world of knowledge was built on centuries of tradition and authority, and frankly, the foundations were starting to look seriously shaky. And here he is, René Descartes. You'll often hear him called the father of modern philosophy. He was a brilliant mathematician, a scientist, and the thing he wanted more than anything else was certainty. He figured the real path to truth wasn't just accepting old ideas, but through a process of systematic doubt and pure hard reason. Here's a great way to picture it. Descartes looked at all of human knowledge and saw it as this giant, old, rickety building. And instead of just trying to patch up the cracks, he decided the only way forward was to demolish the entire thing, just tear it all down and start over from a brand new, completely unshakable foundation. So, how in the world do you tear down a building that's made of ideas? Well, you get a wrecking ball. And Descartes' wrecking ball was something he called methodical doubt. Now, this wasn't just him being skeptical for the sake of it. No, this was a deliberate strategy, a mission to clear out any belief that wasn't absolutely positively certain. The first thing's on the chopping block, his own senses. As Descartes pointed out, our senses trick us all the time, right? A stick looks bent in a glass of water. Things in the distance look smaller than they are. And his logic was pretty simple. If they can fool you even once, how can you ever trust them completely? So boom, out they go. But wait a second. What about the feeling of the chair you're sitting on right now, or the screen you're looking at? That feels real, doesn't it? Well, Descartes pushes it even further. He says, have you ever had a dream that felt completely real? I mean, so vivid you'd swear it was happening, only to wake up and realize it was all in your head? So here's the big one. How can you prove with 100% certainty that you aren't dreaming at this very moment? The tough answer is, you can't. And this brings us to his ultimate thought experiment. The final demolition charge. Forget dreams. Just imagine for a second that there's a supremely powerful, malicious being, an evil demon, whose entire purpose in existence is to deceive you about everything. It could be feeding you a totally false reality, making you believe that 2 + 2 = 4 when it's really 5. In a scenario like that, what could you possibly know for sure? It really seems like we're left with nothing, right? Just total chaos and doubt. But it's right here, at the absolute rock bottom of this pit of uncertainty, that Descartes finds his first solid brick for this new building of knowledge. This is it. This is the one, single, undeniable truth that survived the entire demolition. I think, therefore I am. So let's unpack what this actually means, because it's huge. Even if that evil demon is tricking me, even if this is all a dream, even if every single one of my thoughts is wrong, I have to exist in order to be tricked. The very act of doubting proves that there is a doubter. I am a thinking thing. And this is the solid foundation that Descartes was searching for all along. Okay, so Descartes has his foundation, I exist. But, that's not much to build a whole universe on. So how does he get from that one single thought all the way back to the reality of the world around us? Well, this is where his argument gets really clever and, to be honest, pretty controversial. Let's just walk through his logic here. So, step 1, he knows he exists as a thinking thing. Check. Step 2, he finds that inside his mind, he has an idea of a perfect, infinite being, God. Then comes step 3, he thinks, wait a minute, how could an imperfect, limited mind like mine just invent the concept of perfection? He concludes he couldn't have, which leads to step 4. Therefore, a perfect being must actually exist to be the source of that idea. And the final crucial step. A perfect God wouldn't be a malicious trickster like that evil demon, so this non-deceiving God guarantees that the world he clearly perceives is in fact real. Now, a lot of philosophers since then have poked some major holes in this logic, for sure. But for Descartes, this was the essential bridge back to reality. And this whole process of rebuilding reality leads Descartes to one of his most lasting and hotly debated ideas, this fundamental split between the mind and the body. So here's the basic divide he laid out. For Descartes, the mind, that thinking thing, is totally separate from the body. The mind is a non-physical thing. Its whole job is to think. The body, on the other hand, is just physical stuff, an extended machine that doesn't think. This idea, which we call Cartesian dualism, basically set the stage for centuries of debate about how our minds and bodies could possibly interact if they're two completely different substances. So why does any of this from the 1600s matter to you today? Because Descartes wasn't just writing for other philosophers. He was really trying to lay out a method for thinking clearly that any of us can use. The most important takeaway here is that Descartes' method is a timeless guide to critical thinking. He's basically urging us all to slow down, to avoid snap judgments. He wants us to have the courage to systematically doubt our own most cherished beliefs. It's really a call to be an active, thoughtful participant in your own mind, not just a passive receiver of information. And all of this leaves us with one final challenge. After this whole journey of radical doubt and rebuilding, ask yourself this. What is one belief you hold so deeply that you have never, ever actually dared to question it? That's a thought worth sitting with for a while.